And then, oh, come on, please, please, I'll pay you double. No, I'll pay you triple. Come on, please, please, please. Are we saying that we make an exception for the anal thing?
I'm curious what you think about number 17, a person with Down syndrome.
You know, because some people have got mild Down syndrome and some people have got like severe Down syndrome. A lot of them actually use my Discord, but that's besides the point. Hey, you're trying to get me.
You can avoid it if you don't want to answer it.
Okay, oh, well, okay. I tell you, Squad W, reverse the roles. If it's a guy that's got a mental disability, right, everything's fucking Gucci. As soon as a woman's got a fucking couple of extra chromosomes, that's
Everyone
it. It's game
sorts
over.
out.
Everyone sorts out.
But if the girl doesn't speak up for herself, then she's kind of herself.
Hello. I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Okay.
Do you want to?
Pretty cool. I just want to say that British people saying get slotted for someone dying is pretty cool. What were you saying?
Oh, I just wanted you to introduce yourself to everyone.
Oh, everyone knows me. I'm your friendly neighborhood forever. I'm the guy that got banned, and you guys had that tribunal, and then tried to unban me, and then one of the mods had a freak out. Pretty funny stuff.
Okay. What did you want to talk about anyway?
All right, so we got two topics. The first one is the one that you're talking about this morning. I guess I'm way behind with the rape spectrum thing. Because I sent you that. I think it's a pretty interesting topic.
Yeah.
But the second one,
okay,
if you want to do this one,
yeah,
I don't know if you're allowed to. I was talking to some friends. We were debating like how would we rate women, how would we rate men, and then we were like, oh, well, what does your scale look like? So I was like, I don't know. Let me go onto our. Have you heard of the subreddit called r/am I ugly?
What's that then?
It's just like a subreddit where people post selfies and just like ask, like, "Am I ugly, guys?" Half of them are just like, young people just looking for validation. Half are like really hot people looking for validation. Some people are just like completely busted and have no idea to take a picture. But I just went in there, took the first 10 people that are above 18 and just put them in order and rated them. But we can talk about that if you want to do that. So
sorry, you mean rate or rape?
I'm sick a little bit, so let's be clear. RATE. We can rate them.
Okay, because you came in talking about rape and then you switched to rape. My brain didn't quite click in, and I thought what you were saying is we're trying to figure out how you would rape a man versus rape a woman, and that seems
Oh no, come on.
You know, pretty fucked up even for you, my friend.
No, I wouldn't. No, rape is bad. Okay.
Okay, good. Okay. Anyway, let's talk about this rape scale.
Okay.
I've got it in here somewhere. Let me bring it up. What did you think of my coverage of it, by the way? What are your thoughts on my?
It seemed like you thought it was clowny. It was goofy. I was pretty appalled. I was like, damn, I thought Chud would be into this.
No, yeah, I thought it was absolute clown shit. I mean, one of them. Okay, I don't want to ruin it. I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, pull it up. So let me give a backstory. Do you remember Ayla girl?
No.
She's some girl that Mr. Girl had on stream. She's like this really hot chick that does like, oh, I'm a sex worker and I do data and stuff. She posts on Twitter. She does posts like this all the time. Mr. Girl had her on and they had some weird convo. She cried, whatever. But she also posted this the spectrum. So that's the background.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, whatever. So I mean, the perspective is from a person who's very, very, very sex positive and wants to like people to be good and not rape. Right. That's the context. So from what I understand, she basically some friend had a weird experience where maybe it was rape, maybe it wasn't. I'm not sure, but it's like it's weird to say everything is rape or isn't rape because there's some things that are technically rape, but it's not the same as 100 rape. So maybe we should look at it from a spectrum where some are worse than others. Some are bad, some aren't so bad. But then there's like obviously like 0 is like 100% enthusiastic consent, and 100 is like gun to your head. I'm gonna fuck you. Nothing you can do about it. And there's things that happen in between that we should talk about. That's the way I see it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing for me, and the reason I found, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, it was mucho texto. I didn't read any of the attached documentation. I just
I
went
totally
straight
understand.
to the rape spectrum because I was like, yeah, this is the best bit.
Yeah, I
Um,
understand.
but the reason I just kind of found it funny is the idea. So one here is having sex with an unenthusiastic sex worker as a 12. So they're saying it is a little bit rapey, but it's very low on the scale, but it is somewhat rapey. Have I got that right?
So yes, and I kind of agree with that. What do you think about that?
Um, no, I think that's well. It
What would you?
depends.
Well, first of all, do you even agree with the paradigm? Like, do you think it should be 0 100?
I mean, yeah, I think rape probably does exist. It does exist on a spectrum, sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, I mean, the thing is, I sound bad saying no. It depends what we're talking about, right? Like if someone knows someone's a sex worker and they're like, oh, I don't really feel like having sex, and they're like, oh, come on, please, please, I'll pay you double. No, I'll pay you triple. Come on, please, please, please. Like, yeah, that's probably a little bit rapey. But if it's just like business as usual and she's just not that into it today, I don't know if that's the same thing. I mean, if you turn up for your work, and you're not that into it, like that's just the way it goes sometimes, isn't it? Because it's the same for sex workers. No?
I see. Okay, so then first question is for the first scenario you proposed where the guy's like upping his money every time to get a yes. Where would you put that in the spectrum?
Well, I'd probably put that a touch further along, maybe a 20.
20.
Because
Okay.
I think people that exhibit desperation to the point where they take action to convince someone that doesn't want to have sex. Whilst I don't think it's obviously full blown rape, I think it should be seen in a way that we want to discourage that kind of behavior. Because I just don't think it makes for good like sexual relationships in society and stuff. We should,
Agreed.
yeah, okay,
So I think it's a maybe we need a new word instead of like maybe the 100 is rape. Everything between 0 and 100 is called something else because the word rape, unless it's a weird image to everybody. Because there's like retards in chat. They're just like, yeah, there's green rape and there's red rape. Obviously, they're saying that like rape is rape and it's bad no matter what, and that's it. But like obviously, like having sex with unenthusiastic sex worker is like not great, but it's not as bad as 100, right? So that's why I think it's important.
yeah. I
But
mean, even yeah, like
yeah.
even this one here, having sex to make partner happy in a relationship. I wouldn't like associating that with rape in any way because whilst it could be a sign of something not quite right, it just seems a mistake to put
Well,
this
I
in
mean,
a similar ballpark as like raping someone.
here I'll put it this way: like, so you're. I mean, you've been married. I won't make it personal. Let's say you're married to someone, and the person's really into I don't know, like anal. You're like, fuck, I hate doing anal. They're like, come on, can we do anal once time? Like, fine, fuck it, I'll do it. Like, that's not enthusiastic consent, right? And on the scale, 0 is enthusiastic consent. So it's not full on 100% rape. It's not even 50. It's like you're doing it to help your partner out, and you still want to have sex with them, but you don't really want to do this particular thing, but you do it to make them happy, right? That's not, again, it's not 100% enthusiastic consent. So it can't be 0.
Yeah,
It has to
but
be past that.
I guess the problem is there's other things you're going to do in a situation, in a relationship that you don't want to do that you do anyway to make them happy. Are we saying that we make an exception for the anal thing because there's some trait about a sexual interaction that makes it substantively different to another situation where you do something you don't want to do?
Yes, because they're still consenting to have, like, to be in the relationship. Actually, here, let me actually take a step back, think about your question, because it's a good question. Because technically you're doing something you don't want to do. Um, but it feels different than a sex worker being forced to do it because the sex worker doesn't care about the happiness or the outcomes for the John, right? But for the partner A cares about the outcomes and happiness for partner B, so they're willing to, I guess, let go of some of their agency to make them happier, versus the sex workers doing it for money. Um, I haven't really thought about it. I need more time to think about it, but my gut feel is
No,
just that
sure.
the doing it for someone else's happiness just feels better and more correct, I guess, than doing it for money. Off the top of my head, but I didn't think about it more.
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say because and also I guess it's gonna come down to again the context is really key because if it's like eat my pussy, oh god, I don't really like doing that, but I know it makes them happy, so I'll do it. Versus fist me. Oh God, that's really weird, and I hate the idea of it. It makes me feel sick. No, please fist me. Go on, do it, do it, do it. Please, 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 please. Oh, for God's sake. Okay, fine. I'll do it once, and that's it. You know, that's a different level, right? So
Yeah,
even within that, that's going to have a different position on the rape trum. I'm
I
going to
see what
call
you're
it the
saying.
rape trum.
I see. Yeah, the problem with all these questions is like it's missing some context. You have to fill in the blanks, and the context you choose to fill in is going to be different for each person. That's fair. But let me ask you this.
Go on.
I will make it personal. If you don't want to answer, it's fine. Have you
Okay.
ever had sex with someone and they wanted you to really do something and you didn't want to do it, and you did it, and afterwards you just kind of regretted it and felt bad?
Um, I can't. I'm not saying this as a cop out. I mean, I think it's kind of funny to laugh about stupid sex shit. But like, yeah, I can't remember any specific example. But I mean, yeah, there's been times where that's happened, I guess. But I think what's more common in my experience is like, you know, person A might want to try someone, person B is skeptical, person A begins doing it, person B goes, no, 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 I really don't like this, and then it sort of ends, and that's it. Like, the consent is sort of lost partway through, you know? Um,
Sure, pause. But in this scenario, you're going through it all the way.
yeah, yeah, sure.
But just like that
Yeah,
feeling. I mean, I've never been like full on like raped, but I'm guessing that feeling of fuck, I did this thing, didn't want to do it, is probably like a very minor, dulled down version of like full on rape. Do you think that's fair to say?
I think it's fair to say, but again, when you say rape, it gives me very weird feelings in my tummy, not good ones. It's
Sure.
like
Well, if you want, we
you.
can make a new word for
No, that's not.
0 to 99. What's that? 1 to 99. We can make up a new word right now.
Oh
What would you
no,
call it?
no. I was gonna say that was that joke, surprise sex. That's
Oh
a
yeah, the
that's a
old like
classic
yeah,
joke.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but no, I don't know if I can really think of a word for it. Let's just go with rape, and I'll just try and deal with
How
it.
about we'll call it a light rape, and then hard rape will be the 100. How about that for now?
We'll call it. Okay, yeah, fine. Let's go with that.
So, I'm curious what you think about number 17, fucking a person with Down syndrome. Yeah, what do you think about that?
Okay, right. I don't know if you're aware of this, and I'm just to be clear, I'm not speaking from personal experience, okay?
Okay.
But I've heard on the grapevine that people with Down syndrome have got a vociferous sexual appetite.
Oh, I've heard that too.
Is it true? I don't know if you've looked into it before.
I've heard it. No, I heard it on a podcast. So who knows? But sure, let's assume. Let's step into the reality where it is true. Where are you going with that?
I mean, yeah, I think that someone who has got I mean, I'm not an expert on Down syndrome. Um, if someone has got Down syndrome, I would presume there's some sort of inability to consent unless it's one of the milder forms. Because some people have got mild Down syndrome and some people have got like severe Down syndrome. A lot of them actually use my Discord, but that's besides the point. I think that broadly speaking, there's a spectrum there, and if you're on the milder end, it's probably fine. But if you're if you're someone that can live an independent lifestyle, I would presume that you're going to have the ability to consent. But if you're someone that needs ongoing care, you probably aren't going to be able to consent.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that's a safe take. Um, but here's a question for you: if there was one of these very independent women with Down syndrome, very very beautiful, she loved all the same things you like, Chud, and she made you laugh. And you hung out, and she says, "Hey, do you want to come back to my place?" But in the voice that they do, what would you say?
Mate, you're trying to get me.
You can avoid it if you don't want to answer it,
No,
or
I'm
you
gonna
can you can
listen.
ask
I'm
me.
not gonna
You can
back
ask
down.
me.
Listen, this is a Castle Doctrine stream. I ain't gonna. I'm gonna stand my ground. Okay. Um. So okay. Okay. I'm gonna answer the question. It's gonna be long winded, but I promise it is an answer. Okay.
Okay, go for it.
I think that there is something genetically within us that gives us a predisposition to finding certain people attractive and certain people not attractive. And this is not like me trying to be ableist. Okay, I think that I've got something hardwired within me that I just don't feel an attraction to someone that's got Down syndrome.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The explanation could probably be like the genetics there are just not good for propagating the species. It'd fuck us up if we had Down syndrome, right? So you don't want to fuck them and have more. That makes sense.
Wait, I don't know if that's like a scientific truth, but it seems this. It seems to me there's some truth to it because, like, you know, you want to create strong children, don't you?
Yeah. So would you judge your good friend for sleeping with the person with the independent person with Down syndrome?
Yes, I would. I would.
Yes, interesting.
I would presume that there's some sort of weird thing happening there. And listen, I'll hold my hands up and say that's likely to be some, ableist. I can't pass what the, what I like. I'm trying to think what would like the leftoid answer to that be. And I think if you put this to a leftoid, they would struggle to answer it because it's a very complicated ethical like quandary, isn't it? Do you want to have autonomy for the person with Down syndrome to the point that they can consent? you know, or are we saying that the neurotypical person is in some way engaging in a power dynamic there that is, condemnable?
True.
I think they'd struggle to contend with that one, but personally.
Yeah, bring that up on a panel. Surprise someone with that one.
Oh my god.
Uh,
Good call.
there's two movies where the I can think of where one of the people is like clearly retarded and one is not, and they fuck. So Forrest Gump is one, which is like so weird that he's like clearly not there, and Jenny's like fucking him to the point where maybe it's rape. I personally call it rape, but who knows? And then there's Waterboy, but that one's more of a comedy, so it's funny. But like he's like clearly retarded in that movie, and that girl from American History X is slopping him off, which is very weird.
Okay. Oh, well, okay. I tell you, Squad W, reverse the roles, right? If it's a guy that's got a mental disability, right, everything's fucking Gucci. As soon as a woman's got a fucking couple of extra chromosomes, that's it.
Everyone
It's game
sorts
over.
out.
Everyone sorts
Yeah,
out. Bullshit.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's not fair. Okay, yeah, I think we run that one down. The Down
Okay.
syndrome. Yeah, I personally would not, because for basically your reasons, they're not attractive. Yeah.
Okay.
What about number 18? Lying about wealth. You get pussy.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably rate it lower, but I think that it's inappropriate to be dishonest about your social, personal circumstances in order to get laid. I've got personal experience of this, sort of along the same line. I dated someone for 6 months, and I neglected to tell them that I had kids.
Ooh, damn.
It
What happened
wasn't
when they found out?
well. They didn't. They found out from my social media, and they were really
Oh,
angry. And they were really angry with me. But then we sorted it out. But then we split up anyway. But the thing is, just to kind of defend myself a bit, I didn't. It wasn't because I was trying to be malicious. It's just when you date someone, you don't tell them on the first date that you've got kids, and then it gets to like the second date, the third date, you're like, okay, probably getting to the point that I should tell them. Fourth date, fifth date, you're seeing each other kind of steady, 2, 3 times a week. I've got to tell them now. This is the time to tell them, and you just never tell them.
I'm gonna call it a comment. King Silas says, "Pray boy Chud Rogic." Very funny. I see what you're saying. You're caught in a catch-22 where if you tell them on the first date, they might not even fuck with you. But if you wait a little bit to get them emotionally attached, then you can tell them. But then they might hold, and then they might usually want to leave. It's a very weird one. In my opinion, you should probably tell them right off the bat, but you might scare them off. But I don't have kids, and I might be tempted to do not tell them because I don't want to scare them away. But that's what it
And
is.
the thing is, as well, is like I would obviously, to be clear, that was wrong of me to do that. I shouldn't have done that, right? I'm not saying it's like, oh yeah, that was based, but I don't know if it would be, did I rape that person?
Um, I mean, maybe like if you had sex. So here's the question: if you were being super charitable and honest from them, would they have sex with you if they knew that you had kids?
Oh man, it's such a hard call.
Yeah, it's who knows, right? Maybe, maybe not. But the like, it's better just to ask. That's the like, there's like a list of things you should tell your partner before you fuck them, right? One of them is like, do you want a condom? One is, do you have STDs? Those are like everyone agrees with that. The ones that are more muddled are like about your genital situation or about kids. And then there's the ones that are probably most people don't think you should, like wealth and status, right? Those can be
But
argued about. But I would say kids is leaning more towards like STDs and condom stuff. It's not necessarily all the way there, but you're getting close to there, where it's pretty impactful. Like if I'm gonna fuck you and you have kids, it's but
Okay, but here's the problem I've got with that, because you could have a one night stand with someone, like you don't know what's going to happen. And with this person, we chatted on Tinder. I went around the house the first time and we fucked. I didn't know what it was going to become. But would you have to tell a one night stand? You know, anything
good question.
beyond STDs, condoms, whatever,
Yeah,
like the basics.
I see what you're saying. I think for one night stand, it's like if the assumption is like I'm physically attracted to you just based on your charm right now and how you look, and that's how I want to fuck you, and nothing else really matters, then it's fine. And that seems to be the case for most one night stands. But anything, yeah, so that's what I would say for that. But anything besides that, where it's more than just a one night stand, you're starting to see each other more and more. That's when it gets more muddled. But if it's just like me at a bar, you're hot, I'm hot, you're charming, let's have sex. I don't think the kids matter. I don't think money or status matters. But the condom does matter still, and the STDs don't matter.
Yeah, I think in hindsight, the balance I would strike is like past like a few dates, you know, and they kind of are like wanting it to be a bit more steady. You know, let's say you agree to not see. It's probably like if you have that conversation of, you know, we're just seeing each other exclusively now. Maybe at that point, it's appropriate to reveal more personal
Yes,
details.
that's fair. Like if you're like a convict or felon. Oh, Chad, what would you do if you're dating some girl for a year? Things are going beautiful. You love her. You might even marry her. She tells you that she's a pedophile. What would you do
I'd have to split up with her immediately because I've got kids, and
immediately?
that would be way too much of a risk for me.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you have kids. Fair enough. Okay.
Well, okay, let's ask you the same question because you don't have kids.
I don't have kids. Um, so if she was getting help, she showed she was actually, struggling with this and getting help, I'd consider it. It's something towards a no. But if she's like, I'm a pedophile, you're the first person I told, I don't know, dude, I'd like, see ya. Bye bye.
Well, because the thing is for me, it's like I mean, it's going to depend. If it's just like the mental disorder, and they've never even looked at a naked kid, it would be hard. I might have more sympathy for that if they committed to getting help or they were getting help. But if they'd done any sort of like crime off the back of it, yeah, that would be no, thank you. If they'd been convicted for child pornography or something like that, and I didn't have kids, definitely not.
Okay. What about this one? What if you saw your girlfriend's porn, you weren't stupid, you just happened to come up, and she exclusively looks at lolly porn? What would you do about that?
Oh man, I think I've got like a personal like to be completely consistent. You know, as a logic bro, I don't have a problem with drawn stuff, but I find it deeply uncomfortable, and I couldn't be with someone that enjoys that kind of thing. I'd find it too weird.
Interesting. I think I'd give her the pass. If it was only drawn stuff. I'd definitely raise a flag, and I would be on the lookout for more. But if it was just drawn, like whatever, it's
Okay.
not real.
Right, now listen, this one is this next one I think is it's one for you. What were your thoughts?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Personally, I think that So whenever I ask someone this question, they always say like, "How would you even do that? How would you? You would know. You would." But okay, so if you need me to paint this scenario for a way you could be tricked, I can do it. But we all have imagination, so you can imagine a world where you slept with someone and you didn't know they were trans, and then they told you after. In my opinion, that is rape. I think a 23 might be a little bit low, but it is should be on the spectrum. It's more than a zero. Um, no cap. What do you think?
I think that I think that someone should say again I don't like the idea of the rape word. Um, I just
Like
again it's
like
the same
rape.
situation. I think it's yeah. I mean I think that it's wrong. Like you have to tell them. I think, but then I this is something I guess I haven't really come to a full conclusion on all of it because I think about like if someone's had say bottom surgery
That's my next question. But yeah,
and
go ahead.
I'm not, you know, it's like I really struggle with this and I don't know. See, part of me thinks, do I struggle with it because I'm like concerned about doing a transphobia? Is that like a thing within me that, I can't really push up against. I'm just like, oh fuck, I don't want to, you know, do a transphobia and get myself in trouble or something like that, because I do think that if I slept with someone and then afterward they said, oh, by the way, I'm a trans person, I've had the surgery, I would probably feel, and I date trans women, I'm not in any way against dating trans women, but I would feel like that's something I would like to know before that happened. And I think that's fair enough to have that agreement and understanding of what's going on, so you can fully consent to what's going on. I don't know. Does
I
that
think
make
that's
sense?
fair. That makes sense, but I feel like for if you're willing to, if it doesn't really bother you at all, can you articulate why you would want to know if it doesn't bother you? Like if the fact that she has one or hasn't doesn't have one is irrelevant to you, why does it matter if she tells you?
Man, I don't fucking know, bro. Like, I don't think I've thought about it enough. I've never been in that situation. Um, I mean, it probably shouldn't, right?
It probably shouldn't for you specifically because you don't care, but I think you should still do it just because most people probably do care. But I mean, for someone who does care, yeah, it doesn't make sense to me why they would tell you. Because in theory, it's like, yeah, I don't care, so whatever, come on, come on, come all. It doesn't matter what you have, but yeah, it just seems a little inconsistent from you to be like, you should tell me if it doesn't bother you.
Okay. Well, I think you've made me think about something there.
Let's see what else we got here. What's a really good one? Um, oh, here about 29. Hook up for one person appears nervous and tense, but doesn't say no or resist. Like, so the scenario, I'll paint a scenario for you. By the way, this is the way I read this. So something I take some girl home. It's going okay. It's like kissing on her neck, kissing on her, and she's like stiff as a board. Not really moving or articulating. And he looks at her, and he's like about to say, "Are you okay?" But he's like, "Yeah, fuck it." And he just like puts his hand on her bra and keeps going. And then they just have sex, and she doesn't say anything. Do you think that was rape?
Yeah, that's a oh god. That's a bit. I mean, I'd say that's rapey. Yeah, I mean, I think that there can be a coy playfulness about sex where there's a kind of backwards and forwards in a bit of a game that can occur, and it can be a bit uncertain of exactly where you are, but then transpires they are interested and you go forward. But if someone is like frozen, that's a pretty big indicator that they aren't comfortable. And if they're not saying anything to you, like during sex, people normally talk and it's playful and it's fun, and if they're not enjoying it, I think I would want to kind of say like, hey, are you okay? Are you cool with this? Or we can stop if you want or whatever. If they're giving you that clear sign, I think so. To continue on and not do that little check is a bit rapey. Yeah.
Sure. So you would agree that like in that same scenario, if we could like brain scan the guy and he reads her body language to a T and he knows she doesn't want it, but he specifically doesn't ask so that he can say, "Oh, I didn't rape her." You would agree that's fucked up, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So yeah, okay. But the only problem here is like, how do you? We don't have that technology, and assuming we can't even, or we didn't record it, how would we even do this, right? And also
What
the
about
other
autistic
scenario,
people? Autistic people might
yeah,
not
exactly.
realize.
With the guy's like severely autistic and like really horny, he just plows right through it. And like, but if he sincerely knew, he would have stopped. But he doesn't pick up on body language, right? That's also a weird one. I would say they're all like rapey, but since we can't like specifically derive their intent without like special tools or evidence, I think it's safe to say, here's the hot take, that the guy has some obligation to check in, but if the girl doesn't speak up for herself, then she's kind of raped herself. So it's a double whammy rape.
Well, I mean that's the most provocative way of putting it. I think I think that another way of putting it is that poor communication between the pair has led to this circumstance, and whilst the guy should have checked in, women should absolutely advocate for themselves in those situations. And this is basically the destiny take, right? But if you're in a situation where you freeze up during an act like that, you should probably just take a step back and consider if you're fully comfortable with, you know, the lifestyle you're living. If this is something that
True.
happens regularly, just take a step back and say, hey, you know, I've been on a few dates recently and this has happened. You know, am I happy in myself? Do I need to take some action to try and, like, you know, get in a better head state so I don't end up in these circumstances? And I think that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I agree. The only problem is the kind of person that can introspect like that doesn't seem the kind of person that can speak up and say stop. They're gonna end up in this stupid cycle of them just like raping themselves, like until some guy is like super nice and like dads her through the whole experience. Which I don't know what happened. Good luck.
Okay. I mean, some of these are just no-brainers. I mean, enthusiastic, interested person gets very drunk on a date. The other person is sober. They have sex. You know, if someone is drunk, you know, it
Do
depends.
you think
If
that
very
should be
drunk.
higher? You think
You
37
pro-
is too low?
well, I think the problem is you've got another one here which is higher, but maybe this should be higher in itself. Uninterested, reserved person gets very drunk on date. The other person is sober. They have sex. I think both of these probably need to be pushed up a bit. But I think when
Super
someone's in a
sure.
when unless someone gives explicit consent before they get to that. I mean, even if they do, I think when someone's that drunk, you're obligated really to kind of go, okay, you're already fucking drunk. Let's not take things further. Let's get you to bed. I think it's
Yeah, I
important
agree
that
with
you were
that.
responsible for that in that situation. I think if you have sex with that person, you're in a very cloudy area, and there's no guarantee that they've consented at all. Even if they've drunkenly gone, oh yeah, like, you know, show a bit of
What
fucking
do you?
self control, man.
Sure, I agree that yeah, you shouldn't. Drunk person should not be taken advantage by a sober person. But what about this scenario? Let's say the girl is clearly drunk, and the guy is, and she's hitting on some guy, and the guy's like, "Damn, I want to fuck this girl so bad, but I'm sober." What if he purposely gets himself very, very drunk so that he can fuck her without feeling bad? Do you think that is rapey?
Less rapey, but I mean, if there's an intent there and he's planning it out, I think if you're planning out a circumstance to have sex in a way that is less rapey than it would be otherwise, then that in itself is a very, you know, suspicious behavior. And I would say we
Well,
ought
wait,
to.
pause. The way you phrase that, technically, so if you plan it out in a way so that's less rapey, asking someone if they want to have sex before you have sex is technically a way to plan it out so it's not rapey.
Well, no, because that's you asking for consent, right? What I'm talking about is you're not using the normal means that you would to gain consent. It's almost like you're trying to find a loophole in consent, right? See what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
That's
that's
what
what you're
I'm
saying.
getting at more so.
Yeah, yeah, fair.
I found the loophole. I'll just get drunk as well, and then I can't have raped her. Easy, like that's yeah. Come on, bro. Like, what are you doing?
So would you put that lower than 37 or higher than 37? Where would you put that on here?
Um, yeah. I mean, maybe it's okay where it is when you look at some of these other examples that are higher.
No, no, the one I gave, the one where the guy purposely
Oh,
gets himself drunk. Where would you put that in here?
oh yeah. I mean, that would be in between. I guess maybe like 40, 40, 45, something like that.
Okay, about halfway.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. What about 46?
So, okay, I think America has got a paedophile problem.
No, 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 not that one. The other one, the one with the secretly really wants it. But we can go into the 16-year-old after.
Okay. Oh, he says no, but secretly really wants it.
Yeah.
See, I didn't.
Like here, I'll tell you this scenario. So let's
Okay.
say um, you're seeing some girl casually, you know, it's going fine, and she like leaves a diary or some Reddit shit open where you look at it like, oh, and she's like obsessed about, oh, I want to get raped so bad. This is all I think about. I really want it. I hope my date, Chud, is taking me out and rapes me tonight. And you read that, and then okay, let's not make it personal. Let's say my date David rapes me tonight, and David's like, oh, okay, I guess I will, and then he does it. Um, and she puts up a fight and says no. But that's part of her fantasy too, right? That's she supposedly wants that to happen, and she wanted to fight and pretend that it's not real. But
Okay.
you know what I'm saying, right? So, well,
Yeah.
how would you put that?
So I'd rate that. I'd have quite a dim view on that because we're talking about, you know, consensual non-consent. And even with consensual non-consent, that's not something you can just do off the cuff. You can't fire from the hip with that shit. you've got to have the ability to, you know, plan it out to a point and have that agreement and have that trust as well that you can do that. You know, you can't just go in and be like, right, I've read your diary. I'm gonna fucking rape you because you want it. Like, because the thing is from her perspective, maybe it's not big a deal, but from what you're doing, like, you are raping that person. I think, right? I don't know, like, you're a
Yeah, I
rapist.
mean, yeah, I agree. I wonder how this would play out legally. If you're interested to hear that, but yeah, I mean, morally, yeah, like you didn't ask, and you're assuming like, what if she in that moment doesn't want to do it? It is now in her saying no in fantasy world versus real world is now indistinguishable. So you shouldn't even put yourself in the situation, right? Unless you talk about beforehand. I agree, but I will
Yeah,
say, I have met women before who explicitly said, um, this is their fantasy, and if someone asks or tries to talk about the rules beforehand, they are completely turned off to the entire situation and don't even want to talk to the guy anymore. While those women are rare, and we should not craft moral rules around them, they do exist, which is very, very strange. And I don't know how anyone could have sex with them, essentially, saying what they want.
okay. Um, yeah, I do want to talk about the 16, 26-year-old because obviously I'm using the term facetiously. That wouldn't be paedophilia.
Sure.
But over here, whilst see over here that would be legal. You know,
In
technically
America,
speaking,
too.
in some states, right? In other states is 18, right?
Yeah, 16, 18 in the state.
Okay. Um, but I think that there's something very unusual. Like, when I was at school, um, you know, you'd have girls that were like 16, say, and they go off with the lads that were 25, 27 in their car at the end of school. And at the time, were jealous. You were jealous of the guy.
Yeah, I remember that.
But now I look back and I think, no, they were fucking nonces. They were like literally nonces that,
Yeah,
you know,
yes.
like they probably just got the girls that were just 16, you know, literally to the second. Yeah. And there's something that rubs me up the wrong way about that. Whether it's this high of a rape thing, I'm not sure because like I don't know. It doesn't seem a rape thing really because the point of like the rape of like someone 14 is statutory rape because they can't consent. The law is saying this person can consent. So I don't know. It's kind of like a different issue for me rather than being a rape issue. It's like almost like the guy has got some sort of paraphilia, I would imagine, but isn't really willing to engage with it and just indulges in it or something. I don't know.
I mean, he could have a paraphilia, and it also could be rape, unless you like him be both.
Yeah, but I guess that's going to be the legal distinction of whether it's considered statutory rape or not if the law is determined whether they can consent. Because I don't know how else. Like it's like the Loki's wager thing. Where is the exact point that someone is definitely
Sure.
able to consent, and you can't really figure that out. But we know
Yeah,
that the
yeah,
3-year-old can't, and we know that a 20-year-old can. So somewhere in between that is the point. The law tries to put it, but it's often arbitrary. I
sure.
think generally, I would say moving it upward would probably be a good thing, just to have an abundance of caution, because I think that there's likely going to be some 16-year-olds out there that are going to have like they're probably not ready,
Sure.
and
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
going
I
to
think
engage.
to
Yeah,
mirror your take, it's like it should be like a 50 or like a 60, somewhere around there. Like halfway or slightly above halfway for caution makes sense because what you just said is it's kind of muddly whether the 16-year-old can consent or not. Maybe some can, maybe some can't, but it's probably just safe to assume most of the time if there's a 10-year gap and they're really that young, uh, you shouldn't do it. And
yeah, and I
it's
think I think
even if the kid wants to, it's kind of rapey. So I think 50 or 60 is a good place to put it.
and I think Romeo and Juliet laws can fill the gap because I think like a
Yeah,
16 and an 18-year-old is fine, but like a 40-year-old and a 16-year-old, yeah, that's fucking weird, champ. So Romeo and Juliet's can fill the gap, so you don't end up prosecuting 18-year-olds for sleeping with a 16-year-old. But if a 40-year-old is sniffing around a 60-year-old, then it's time to go to prison, pal.
yeah. I agree. This reminds me. There's some panel. I forget which one it was, but Mr. Girl was on there talking about the same topic. And there's always like at least two guys that are just like they'll be like, hold on, let me take the floor for a second, and they'll go on this very long diatribe where they're basically explaining how they've never ever been attracted to younger girls Well, actually, in fact, they only like MILFs ever since they can remember. They've always loved MILFs. They've always like older girls. And whenever someone does that in these panels, it's very, very cringe, very virtue signaling, very annoying. And I hope you will call them out on it because it's embarrassing. And I'm like, you're lying. One, two, who cares, right?
Yeah, and I think, I don't know if this is something you've experienced yourself, but I've had that circumstance where you're with your mates, you're with the lads, you're walking about town, and like someone's like, "Oh, check out that bird over there," and everyone looks, and one of them goes, "Yeah, woman or whatever, check
Yeah,
out
I
that
know,
girl,"
I know.
right? And everyone looks, and one of your mates goes, "Wait a sec, I know that girl. She's 14 years old." And everyone's like, "Oh no, what fucking hell?" And you take the piss out of the guy, you call him a nonce and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but it kind of demonstrates that, like, that attraction can happen, and absent of knowledge of the age, it can happen, and then the age brings you back to reality, and you're like, no, that's wrong, and then your sort of morals or whatever kick in. But the idea that like this doesn't happen is just copium. um
Yeah,
you know
agreed.
and do you know what those people need to do is they should have a process where you show them images and they've got to like rate their attractiveness or something,
Oh,
right? And then at the
yes, I
end,
would love that.
they've got all these tens. How likely are you to have sex with this person? At the end, they've got the tens for these, and it's like, yeah, they were 13. Like, could you imagine?
Well,
That'd be so good.
this is what would happen though, because they know that they'll see what's happening per the test. What's the results are going to be? Any girl that's ambiguous or young, they're going to put like a 0, and every bitch that looks like she's 85 is going to be a 10, and that's how they weasel their way out of that. But it'll just be fun to see their results where there's every chick they like. But that's my grandma. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, yeah, just to avoid it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, what other interesting ones do you think there are?
I mean, stealth thing's an easy clap. Hitting someone without asking, yeah, that's fucked up. If
Oh
that's the
yeah,
here, 50, yeah, the hitting one. You know when people say like, "Oh, I didn't say no because I thought he would rape me." This is a specific scenario where you're being scared of him saying no because hit you more makes sense because they've already shown that they hit you without asking. So they've already shown they don't really care about what you think. So if someone told me that, I'd believe them right off the bat. But
see,
uh,
that's interesting because yeah, I can see that logic, but my basic thing is like that is the time when you really have got to like lay down the law. But yeah, I think you're probably right. It probably is much harder to, right? Because you're going to have that fear of, oh my God, they've just hit me
yeah, they've
without
already
even
done it.
asking. Yeah, sure. Okay. No, I see that. Yeah.
Um, person's drunk on date, sober. Person has a rape fetish. Their friend trying to be helpful gets a stranger to abduct and forcibly penetrate this person. What the fuck?
How is this only 90? Well, first of all, this is the most insane sentence I've ever read in my life. But
Which one?
secondly, the fucking
Oh, it's
about the
91.
rape,
Yeah, I'm trying to be
rapey.
helpful.
Yeah, like,
Bro,
what the
your
fuck is
friend.
that? Who would do that? You'd
Yeah,
have to be completely morally
yeah, that's
bankrupt
not
to
your
think
friend,
that's
bro.
like an okay thing to do. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's like the worst thing I've ever heard. Yeah, that's not good.
But the thing is, I would have thought that would have been higher because that's like, I mean,
I mean,
that's
it only gets his little points knocked off because like there's a chance where they might actually enjoy it, I guess. But the point is, you didn't ask, and you just surprise them. Surprise. So it's fucked up. But I can see why they rated it a little bit lower. But
maybe. Um, and this other one as well, a husband forcing sex upon a wife in traditional culture, I shouldn't perceive this as wrongdoing. Like, a kid might not perceive what is happening as wrongdoing because they don't know, but we'd still call that like rape and be treated very severely. Like, to me, this is just rape. I think dressing it up in this way.
um,
And
I
I wonder if it's like wokoids that are like, oh no, we don't want to offend the
respect
Muslims.
all cultures. Yeah.
Don't say this is full on rape because what about the Muslims? And it's like, no, this is just rape. Like, simple, easy peasy to me anyway.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Let me. I think I agree with you, but let me steal them on the other side. So let's say we found some like new culture. How about say we found an alien culture where they have a society and they're doing fine. Oh, let's pretend it's Star Trek. Here we go. We're on planet Rape, where this is what they do. This is what they do in the Ferengi planet. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. So it's Planet Rape. This happens all the time. And then like, dude, we're gonna save these women. Let's get them. And then but when we try to save them, they're like kicking and screaming, like, no, we want to stay here. We like this. This is what we do. Stop pulling us away from this. You can't. If you take me away from here, I'll fucking kill myself. At that point, like, would you still feel like it's rape? or would you be more inclined to like, okay, well, guess. But you know what I'm trying to get at, right?
Yeah, I think so. I guess the issue is like, to me though, I think about children again, and I just think like, I could envision a scenario when a child thinks that what they're doing is okay and good, and they try and get pulled out of it, and they're like, oh no, this is fine, I'm happy with this. Just because they don't know and they're naive and they're, a kid or whatever, they've got, smaller brain. We still would take them out of that situation because, yeah, we've determined that is something that is wrong. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, the kid example makes sense, but it just breaks down when they're at a certain age, like 45, and they're just like kicking and screaming that they want to do it. I mean, they're doing like you're saying if a kid did, you'd pull them out, but like it feels weirder to pull out like an adult who chooses to do that. Like if some person was like, yeah, I like to, fucking chew my fingers until they're bone. Like, would we stop them? Some people would say, yeah, we should stop them. Some people would say, no, you should be able to do whatever you want as long as you're consenting. But you're actually asking, is your ability to consent compromised because you're like naive and fucked up?
Yeah, I would say that I think that their mental state is such that it is clouding their ability to consent. Like if someone is really mentally ill, there's can be an issue with consent there potentially, or got a mental disability or something. So yeah, I'd say it's probably something along those lines. I don't know. Okay. I mean,
Right.
the last one is just a no-brainer. I mean, it's the standard. That's the gold standard of rape, really. So, yeah.
The gold standard. So, after going through this, do you think it makes more sense to use this, or do you think it still just ruins the entire discourse, or what?
I think now we've spoken about it. I guess the yellow stuff and the red stuff is kind of obvious. Some of the green stuff maybe, but I just don't like the idea that having sex with an enthusiastic sex worker. I think what I've concluded from this is that it's wrong to use the word rape, even on a spectrum, because rape evokes 100 every time.
Yes,
I don't think you can get around that.
Yep.
You think guy in a fucking ski mask with a switchblade at someone's throat, whatever.
Great.
So yeah, that's the problem. But it's difficult, isn't it? Because that's what we've got.
Well, yeah, maybe we need to make up a new word. Someone needs to do it. Maybe it's you.
Well, I know Noam Chomsky is a linguist, so maybe I should message him and see what he can do.
Okay. All right. It was fun talking about this. I'm gonna hop off.
Okay.
You should host QE when you're done, or let him know when you're done, and rate him down.
Okay, we'll do.
All right. See it.
Okay. Catch you later. Bye. Yeah, Dax, exactly. I agree. Because look, I even think like a guy being pushy, not in a flirtatious way, like, oh, come on, and they're like, oh, no, I can't possibly. And then you kiss and then it's a bit, gets a bit heated and then you move forward versus like, oh, please have sex with me. I've not had sex for ages. No, I don't really want to. No, come on. It's a good idea. But, a level of pushiness is wrong. But I think the problem with calling it rape is you could even look at it pragmatically. I think it leads to an insane level of defensiveness. I think it leads to a level of defensiveness that mitigates the chance of actually learning from it and moving forward, I don't know. What do you think, chap?